Good evening. You are watching Goa 365 and I'm Nisa Dias here to remind you of the people and events that made news in the week that went by. Last week, Goa was under the reign of King Momo and his subjects had simply taken leave of their senses and indulged in what is normally not allowed otherwise. But first, Viscount of Perne and former MLA Jiten Deshprabhu woke up from his hibernation after more than 8 months. No, it was not that he sensed imminent dissolution of the assembly, nor was it love for Goa and Goans. He woke up from his deep slumber to congratulate the Congress government over its decision to give principal acceptance to the international airport at Mopa. Who could be a better beneficiary than Jitendra? His princely family owns almost entire Perne, and if at all the airport is set at Mopa, all his barren plateaus will fetch a huge price. And lucky fellow that he is, it is not his land which will be acquired for construction of the airport. Some guys have all the luck. Last week saw Congress trying to paint BJP black, alleging that the plan to bring down the government was hatched by them. But when leader of opposition Manohar Parrikar challenged them to show evidence of the allegation, the GPCC president just clamped up. Undoubtedly, Francisco Sardinia is still nursing his wound during the time he was propped up as a chief minister by the BJP after rebelling from the Congress. And then during his jaunt to Australia, BJP thought it wise to keep him down under permanently and withdrew support to his government. Consequences of which was Parrikar became the chief minister. Maybe the Lok Sabha MP always sees Parrikar's hand behind every toppling bid. That apart, why is Sardinia tom-tomming about the opposition's move to topple the government? Why does he not tell us what disciplinary action has he initiated as GPCC president against the congressmen hobnobbing with the rebels during the revolt? He may want to consult the High Command on that too, as he has now sought the intervention of UPA chairman Sonia Gandhi to scrap the notified SEZs in the state. The very fact that he is running to Madam with a begging bowl indicates that South Goa MP does not have any clout at the centre to approach the Commerce Minister Kamal Nath that he needs an intercessor in Sonia Gandhi. But mind you, Francis Sardinia himself is a strong supporter of SEZs in the state. Last week saw the stakeholders in the tourism industry make a common cause for relaxation of sound after 10 pm. Incidentally, the act was made applicable in Goa to curtail loud music being played throughout the night, thereby disturbing peace and tranquility in the area. Professional musicians were hit by the decision of the government way back in 2001. The relaxation of amplified sound meant that weddings, the mainstay of most of music bands, had to be wound up by 10 pm. This was not right because invitees attend weddings at 9 pm and Goans have a tradition of throwing a grand celebration which very rarely goes beyond midnight. However, over the years, restaurant owners have almost hijacked the movement and have become front runners in demanding relaxation of the Sound Control Act, simply because extension of time in playing amplified music will allow them to serve alcohol much beyond the prescribed time. Hence, the genuine cause of professional musicians is being diverted for the benefit of restaurateurs, who very rarely engage professional musicians to perform, otherwise resort to sequenced tracks. As things stand, police have become the major beneficiaries of this act. They enforce the law only when it comes to weddings, but conveniently act dumb when restaurants play amplified music way beyond the prescribed time. Last week, Goa was under the reign and rule of King Momo, with 4 nights and 3 days of carnival celebration in the state. Goa Tourism Development Corporation funded and organized carnival float parade in 4 major cities in the state, as is usually being done. However, this time round, GTDC hyped the participation of the Samba people. However, it turned out to be a damn squib. People had high expectation, but the Brazilians failed to impress the Goan revelers. But then we must understand that the participants in the float, though being from the Samba country, reside in India, and their consulate got them together to be a part of the float. Inviting the Brazilians to participate in the floats also invited the wrath of the police. A case has been registered against the organizers for unfurling the Indian flag upside down, thereby dishonoring it. Young and the old were dressed in colorful best and had even painted their faces and colored their hair. In keeping with the carnival spirit, powder and color was sprayed on each other. And our elected representatives too allowed their faces to be colored. But since our politicians bid the chameleons in changing color, it is difficult to say which color suits them the best. And then one hardly sees former King Momos seated on the dais. In Margao, Lok Sabha MP Francisco Sardinia, who in the 80s was made the King Momo, was among the dignitaries. The organizers in Margao committed a big blunder during the float. King Momo Valeriano de Silva was not invited on the dais to watch over his subjects abiding to his orders of fun and frolic. But then there are so many kings in the Congress party in Goa that they would not like more kings intruding into their space. A week does not pass by without social activist Iris Rodrigues targeting somebody or the other. His last week's victim was Advocate General of Goa, Subodh Kantak. Iris served a legal notice to the Chief Secretary JP Singh to immediately recover excess fees charged by the AG to the Exchequer. Changing his profession from banking to advocacy has paid dividends to the Advocate General of Goa, Subodh Kantak, as from January 2006 to January 2007, he has been paid a whooping rupees 2 crores 33 lakhs 94,500 rupees, an amount he would surely not make in a year as a banker or even as a private advocate. And as in the style of Iris Rodrigues, who himself is an advocate, he threatens his victims by saying he is going to approach the High Court, not that he has not carried out his threat. He has done so in many cases, like filing a writ petition against parliamentary secretaries and others for conferring cabinet status upon them, and making Health Minister Vishwajit Rane walk up the steps of the court. Coming back to the banker turned lawyer, Advocate Rodrigues has not only demanded an immediate probe into the payments made to the Advocate General over the last 3 years, he has also demanded a ceiling to be set for payments to be claimed by future Advocate Generals. Transporters last week were up in arms against the government's decision to restrict speed limit to 60 kilometers per hour by fixing speed governors to buses and trucks. They served a 15 days ultimatum to the state government to withdraw the notification, or else they would resort to an indefinite strike. As the government toughened its stand, IITian Manohar Parrikar took up the cause of transport lobby and came up with some stupid objections. He tried to convince the media that speed governors can be fixed and removed at the whims and fancies of the owners of the vehicle, which is quite absurd because the speed governors will be sealed at 4 points on the engine. In case of a breakdown of a vehicle, the seal has to be broken and fixed in presence of transport officials. In another breath, Manohar Parrikar says that there are no roads in Goa where speed limit is indicated at 60 kilometers per hour. Parrikar should once again take a tour of the state and call it some mission, just as he had done it during his Salsad mission. But one of his observations hit the nail on its head when he said that the installation of the speed governors are linked to commissions. We too have heard rumors that only 2 companies manufacturing speed governors have been shortlisted, and it is alleged that Transport Minister Pandurang Matkaikar has bought a franchisee of one of the companies to market the speed governors in Goa. After all said and done, it is maybe for the first time that the government has showed some backbone to take on the powerful transport lobby. The Transport Minister has gone on record claiming that he is going to invoke Essential Services Maintenance Act if trucks and tankers resort to strike. At the same time, he has disclosed that he has requested Karnataka government to provide buses to counter the strike by bus owners.